Meanwhile, at the main house of the Jibel family in Hubei province, Yeon Jung-hyuk, the Heaven Brilliance Demon Lord, is sitting on a chair with a calm, almost casual demeanor. Dead bodies of Jigul clan members lie sprawled across the floor, their blood staining the ground. Yeon Jung-hyuk looks at them with a sneer, calling them foolish for thinking they could escape their fate. He taunts them, saying there is no place safe for them, not even in the Central Plains. No matter where they try to hide, they will always be hunted. Even if they were within Wudang's territory, they were a bit too careless. They let their guard down, and now they've paid the price. Bloodied and bruised, he takes a swig from a bottle of alcohol. And as he drinks, he asks his subordinate across the room that he's heard shocking news. The leader of the Black Death Alliance is dead, and it was someone from the Tang family who defeated him. His subordinate, a man wearing an eye patch, explains that the person who killed the Black Death Alliance leader is highly skilled in poison, hidden weapons, and swordsmanship. Yeon Jung-hyuk scoffs, still unconvinced. He leans back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. He thinks to himself that simply mastering poison and hidden weapons wouldn't be enough to defeat someone as strong as the Black Death Alliance leader. The Tang clan member must have reached a level of swordsmanship so advanced that it rivals his own. Maybe this person can even wield sword techniques as effortlessly as he does. He puts his cup down slowly, contemplating. Maybe he had overestimated the Black Death Alliance leader. After all, this death seems almost pitiful. He had wanted to be the one to kill him. That was supposed to be his victory. But even though his dream of killing the Alliance leader failed, he realizes there's a silver lining. The troublesome foe he had been dreading to face one day is now gone. A wicked smile spreads across his face as he leans forward, thinking that maybe, just maybe, it's time to resume his killing spree. He glances at his subordinate, asking where the Myeong clan is located. With a look of determination, he knows his next move. His thirst for destruction has not yet been quenched. His subordinate confirms that the Myeong clan has been growing its power, operating under the guise of a merchant guild. However, suddenly, he stops speaking, focusing intently on something approaching. Addressing Yeon Jung-hyuk with respect, he warns that something is coming their way. Yeon Jung-hyuk, still calm and collected, responds that he can sense it too. His sharp instincts tell him that the approaching force is moving quickly, their aura heavy with power. He suspects that these are Wudang backup forces, perhaps sent to deal with him. With a cold smile, Yeon Jung-hyuk orders his subordinate to handle the Myeong clan. He will take care of the Wudang forces himself. Yeon Jung-hyuk then walks outside, and as the cool night air touches his face, he stares up at the bright moon. In his mind, he speaks to his father, mentally declaring that the era of a demon-ruled world is about to begin. Meanwhile, inside the Tang residence, Miss Yeon-myeong is deep into her training. Sweat drips down her face as she moves with precision and grace, her martial arts practice nearing perfection. The moonlight shines brightly, illuminating her fan, who seems to radiate a divine aura. Every movement she makes is filled with determination, but inside, her muscles scream in pain. She's pushing herself to the limit, knowing that she can't stop. Though it feels like her body might snap from exhaustion, she tells herself she will continue no matter what. She forced her uncle to teach her the Jigul clan's martial arts, and now she trains relentlessly. The memories of how difficult it was to convince him flood her mind. At that time, all she could do was watch, feeling a deep sense of helplessness. She had been desperate to learn, but the journey had been long and hard. She continues practicing. The pain is almost unbearable, and she can't help but think to herself that she never wants to feel that helplessness again. She won't stop until she masters the martial arts, no matter the cost. Just as Miss Yeon-myeong prepares to practice one final time, her uncle Jigul approaches her with a grim expression on his face. He calls out to her, and immediately she senses that something is wrong. His usual confident demeanor is replaced by a serious and troubled look. Miss Yeon-myeong asks him why he is here, as he was supposed to be busy with other matters today. Jigul doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he places a hand gently on her shoulder, urging her to stay strong. His voice is low and heavy with concern as he tells her that what he's about to say will shake her deeply. A sense of unease creeps up her spine as she watches him. Her heart begins to race, and she nervously asks what he means. She's expecting something important, but not something like this. The news he delivers shakes her to her core. Her world tilts as she learns that the Jigul family, her family, no longer exists. Her breath catches in her throat, and before she can process the words, tears begin to fall. She stares at her uncle in disbelief, unable to comprehend the devastation he has just spoken. The Jigul clan, a powerful and proud family, wiped out in an instant. She wonders, how could this be real? Jigul, seeing the shock in her eyes, explains that Yeon Jung-hyuk, the Heaven Brilliance Demon Lord, is behind this destruction. This ruthless figure had already wiped out 3 of the 5 great families before, and now with his arrival in Hubei, the situation has shifted dramatically. The Wudang Swordmasters, the so-called protectors of the martial world, had tried to intervene when Yeon Jungyuk launched a surprise attack on the Jigul family. But Jungyuk wasn't one to be stopped easily. He had issued a chilling warning to Wudang. If they dared to interfere, the entire Wudang sect would be erased before the sun set. Faced with this threat, the Wudang masters had no choice but to stand aside. Unable to fight against such overwhelming power, they watched helplessly as the Jigul clan was utterly annihilated. Miss Yeon-myeong's heart sinks as she absorbs the gravity of the situation. The family she knew, the people she loved, are gone. The Wudang, once a symbol of strength and justice, stood by, powerless to stop the destruction. Later, Yeon-myeong, holding some letters, struggles to comprehend the devastation that Yeon Jungyuk has caused. His face is grim as he reads the news. He knows that no one, not even the most powerful figures in the martial world, could stop Yeon Jungyuk. Of course, except him. He looks at Miss Yeon-myeong and Jigul standing before him with teary eyes. Yeon-myeong tells them that he is fully aware of the tragedy that has befallen them. Jigul nods slowly, agreeing with the gravity of the situation. Jigul says that Miss Yeon-myeong's decision to flee from the Black Death Alliance was the right one. Had they stayed and fought, they would have been completely wiped out with no chance of survival. The mere thought of it makes him shudder. He looks at Miss Yeon-myeong, shaking his head, and murmurs that it must have been heaven's mercy that they are still alive today. Tears begin to drip from Jigul's eyes as he faces the harsh reality: the Jigul clan, the family that once held power and pride, is no more. Yeon-myeong remains silent for a moment, processing the pain in the room. Finally, breaking the silence, Yeon-myeong speaks with surprising calmness. He tells Jigul that they have not lost everything, a statement that shocks both Jigul and Miss Yeon-myeong. Yeon-myeong explains that there are still members of the Jigul clan alive within the Tang clan. If any of them survive, it's possible to rebuild the family piece by piece. His words, though unexpected, spark a small flicker of hope in Jigul's heart. Yeon-myeong then tells him that he hasn't forgotten his promise to Jigul. He hasn't lost his word, and he will do everything in his power to help rebuild the Jigul clan as quickly as possible. There is still a chance for redemption, and Yeon-myeong is determined to be the one to make it happen. He adds that Jigul shouldn't feel he is a liar or lose hope. The road ahead is long; they can rebuild. Jigul listens, still struggling with the pain of loss, but the words seem to bring some comfort. Yeon-myeong, however, feels a growing sense of unease. He senses that something isn't right. Strange movements are happening, as if everyone is making sudden, unexpected moves. He decides it's time to prepare on their side too. Just as Yeon-myeong starts planning, a guard enters the room, interrupting the moment. He announces that a guest from the Wudang sect has arrived and is requesting to see Yeon-myeong. The mention of Wudang sets Miss Yeon-myeong off. Her anger surges, and she can't control her emotions, feeling a mix of frustration and bitterness. Yeon-myeong, however, remains calm. He wonders what the Wudang sect is doing at a time like this. He tells the guard to allow the Wudang representative to enter. Turning to Jigul and Miss Yeon-myeong, Yeon-myeong advises them to rest for now. He knows that they are grieving deeply, and they need time to process. Meanwhile, he will handle the guests from Wudang and find out what they have to say. Yeon-myeong wonders about the identity of the guest from the Wudang sect. Is this person a genuine visitor or just another troublemaker trying to cause more chaos? He doesn't have to wait long for the answer as the figure steps into the room. The man introduces himself and immediately states that he's come to request the Tang clan's support. The visitor asks Yeon-myeong if he's aware of the current chaos in Hubei. Yeon-myeong, maintaining a calm demeanor, replies that he's heard a few things, especially about Yeon Jungyuk resuming his activities. The man continues, explaining that in a short period, Yeon Jungyuk had wiped out both the Jigul clan and the Moyeon clan, leaving nothing but destruction in his wake. But there's more. The Wudang sect has learned that Yeon-myeong himself managed to annihilate the Black Death Alliance. The visitor says he's here to request Yeon-myeong's help in the fight against Yeon Jungyuk. He wants Yeon-myeong to lend his strength for the greater good, to drive out the demon lord and restore balance. Yeon-myeong listens carefully but remains unmoved. His eyes narrow slightly as he responds, his tone cold. He tells the visitor that he doesn't appreciate people who come begging for help, especially when they're expecting him to fight their battles. He makes it clear that he will refuse the offer. The visitor is stunned by Yeon-myeong's response. He stands there for a moment, trying to process what he's just heard. Clearly, he wasn't expecting such a refusal, and he's at a loss for words. Finally, he asks Yeon-myeong why he is rejecting the request, arguing that the Tang clan has also suffered great losses because of Yeon Jungyuk. He goes on to play the victim card, reminding Yeon-myeong that according to the rules of their family, they always repay grudges tenfold. Yeon-myeong, however, is not impressed by his reasoning. He interrupts the visitor with a fierce look in his eyes and a growing aura of killing intent. He tells the man to mind his words carefully. He points out that the Wudang sect stood by and did nothing while the Jigul clan was annihilated. Now they dare invoke the principles of family honor in front of him. Yeon-myeong's aura is cold and menacing, a clear reminder of the kind of power he holds. The visitor falters, clearly sensing the danger. He hadn't expected Yeon-myeong's response to be so sharp, nor the weight of the anger in his words. Yeon-myeong isn't interested in playing along with the Wudang sect's demands. He makes it clear that he won't involve, especially since the Wudang sect itself had avoided direct confrontation with Yeon Jung-yuk when they had the chance. Instead, they let the destruction go on, leaving others to deal with the consequences. Hearing this, the visitor begins to sweat, unable to find the right words to respond. Yeon-myeong, unbothered by the man's discomfort, calls out his hypocrisy. He points out that the visitor's attempt to invoke his family's principles seems rather out of place, given how Wudang had stood by while the Jigul clan was wiped out. In a frightened tone, the visitor admits that the righteous sect is in complete disarray. The collapse of the martial alliance base in Wudang has left a gaping hole, which Yeon Jung-yuk's forces have swiftly filled. Now, a demonic faction openly operates in the heart of the Central Plains, making the situation even worse. The visitor goes on to explain that while the Black Death Alliance decimated 3 of the 5 great families, the Heaven Brilliance assaulted the Martial Alliance. Yeon-myeong listens intently, already thinking ahead. He knows that even now, the righteous sect is too focused on defending their own territories. If they manage to push Yeon Jung-yuk out, there won't be anyone left to maintain order. He wonders who will manage the disarrayed righteous forces without a central leadership. Without a common enemy, the righteous forces will simply collapse into chaos, fighting amongst themselves for resources. He considers the current state of the righteous sect is even worse than the Black Death Alliance. A lack of unity and leadership could lead to the total destruction of any hope of maintaining balance in the martial world. But then, an idea begins to form in his mind. Perhaps there is a way to bring order to this chaos by taking control of the righteous sect himself. He turns to the visitor, telling him that they must first re-establish a central leadership to replace the fallen martial alliance. The visitor, his face lighting up, agrees that this is a good idea. He says he's ready to cooperate, thinking that he's found an ally in Yeon-myeong. But Yeon-myeong doesn't get excited by the visitor's enthusiasm. He stands up, signaling that it's not time to act just yet. They will need to assist the joint sect in attacking the demon cult first. However, there's still something else to consider. Someone will need to keep an eye on things in case something goes wrong. The visitor looks confused, but before he can speak, Yeon-myeong cuts him off, already thinking ahead. He tells the visitor that a new martial alliance will be established in the center of Sichuan to oversee the chaos and bring stability to the righteous sect. Yeon-myeong's plan is clear. He will restore order not just by driving out Yeon Jung-yuk, but by taking control of the righteous forces and leading them himself. After the declaration of Yeon-myeong, the creation of the Second Mirim Alliance, the Righteous Heaven Alliance, progresses at an astonishing speed. Under Jigul Changshin's leadership, buildings are swiftly constructed, and with effective land acquisitions, the region's economy begins to boom. The prices of land in Sichuan soar, bringing great fortune to the general administration. The officials and workers in charge can't help but laugh as the profits continue to grow, realizing that the alliance's success isn't just martial, it's economic too. In no time, the Righteous Heaven Alliance is established as the second major alliance of the righteous faction. Its influence spreads quickly, and soon after its creation, a large-scale recruitment drive begins. The alliance is eager to bring in talented individuals from all over the land to strengthen its ranks. News of the alliance spreads like wildfire, and soon heroes, warriors, and martial artists from every neighboring clan make their way to Sichuan, eager to join the Righteous Heaven Alliance. The call is loud and clear. Those with strength, honor, and ambition are welcome to take part in this new and promising venture. When Yeon-myeong sees the enormous crowd gathered in front of the newly established alliance building, he is taken aback. Thousands of people have come from all corners, and the sight is both awe-inspiring and overwhelming. He turns to Jigul, who is standing beside him, and asks if these people are truly here to join the alliance. Jigul, always calm and composed, confirms that they are. Yeon-myeong, who had expected a smaller gathering, is stunned. He says that he didn't imagine things would escalate to this extent. Seeing such a large crowd is more than he anticipated. It's clear that his reputation has drawn much more attention than he thought. Jigul, not at all surprised, explains that even the 6 sects and the 3 noble families, along with numerous smaller sects, have come to support the alliance after hearing about Yeon-myeong's accomplishments. He adds that it's not just the power of Yeon-myeong's martial skills that has attracted so many, it's also his success in restoring the once crumbling Tang family. By driving out the Black Death Alliance and transforming the Tang clan into the heart of Sichuan, Yeon-myeong has earned the respect and admiration of many. Yeon-myeong, still processing the magnitude of the situation, stands silently for a moment. He had known the alliance's creation would attract attention, but seeing the number of people here, he realizes just how far his influence has reached. What started as a plan to rebuild the Tang family has grown into something far bigger, an alliance that could reshape the entire martial world. Jiggle shares an interesting detail with Yeon-myeong. He tells him that the people have come up with a title for him. Yeon-myeong, curious, asks what the title is. With a slightly awkward expression, Jiggle reveals that the title is the Venomous Sword Dragon. Yeon-myeong chuckles, amused by the name. It's certainly dramatic, but he admits it's not that bad. In fact, it kind of fits him. Jiggle then asks if Yeon-myeong is ready to announce himself as the official leader of the Righteous Heaven Alliance. After all, he has established it and led its growth. There would be no opposition, Jiggle believes, to Yeon-myeong declaring himself its leader now. Yeon-myeong, however, is more cautious. He shakes his head and explains that it's not as simple as that. While the Righteous Heaven Alliance is focused on eradicating the demonic forces, he doesn't believe that everyone who has joined shares the same intention. Some may have other motives hidden beneath their loyalty. Yeon-myeong knows that in this world, not everyone can be trusted outright, no matter how noble their cause may seem. Therefore, before he makes any declarations about his leadership, Yeon-myeong understands that he must first make sure everyone recognizes his authority. There are those who may try to manipulate the situation for their own gain, and Yeon-myeong is prepared for that. He knows that power doesn't come easily, and that establishing true control requires more than just words. It requires action, and he must prove his strength to those around him. Jiggle nods, understanding his caution. It's clear that the young lord is thinking several steps ahead, always mindful of the complexities of leadership. Jiggle's sharp instincts tell him that Yeon-myeong's predictions about the situation were spot on. It feels almost as if Yeon-myeong had foreseen everything as unfolding before them. Just then, the leaders of the major sects begin to approach them. One of the leaders, Jaon from Shaolin, steps forward. He looks like an old, bald monk. He joins his hands together in a traditional gesture of respect, saying, "Young lord, rumors tend to grow on their own, young lord." While they know he's exceptional for his age, no one has witnessed him defeating the Black Death Alliance's leader, so they would like him to prove it through a duel, putting the leader's position on the line of course. Hearing this challenge, Jiggle can't help but feel a wave of frustration. He thinks to himself that it's almost laughable using a duel to challenge for leadership is nothing more than a thinly veiled attempt to seize power. It's a strategy that shows just how quickly ambition can cloud the judgment of these sect leaders. The suggestion is not only disrespectful, but also absurd. In this time of unprecedented chaos where the demonic forces have risen with unmatched force, Sichuan had been relatively untouched. The Black Death Alliance's leader had managed to keep the region safe from demonic invasions. But now that he is gone, Sichuan has become a coveted, unclaimed territory. Anyone who takes control of this land will not only inherit the legacy of the Black Death Alliance, but also gain the allegiance of countless disciples from the now leaderless sects. Jiggle reflects on this as he watches Jaon stand there awaiting Yeon-myeong's response. From the outside, it seems like a simple challenge. But the underlying motivation is clear. This is not just about a duel. It's about seizing control, claiming a powerful position, and building a new empire. And given the current situation, it's understandable why someone might take the risk. In a world where power shifts quickly, seizing an opportunity like this could change everything. He hopes that this duel will teach the overconfident sect leaders their limits. Jaon formally introduces himself with a calm yet firm voice. He tells Yeon-myeong that he should treat this duel as a real fight and suggests that Yeon-myeong demonstrate all his skills, poison, hidden weapons, and everything he's known for. Jaon believes that in order to avoid regrets later, Yeon-myeong must show his full capabilities. Yeon-myeong, however, remains composed. With a calm demeanor, he politely declines the suggestion. He says he appreciates Jaon's concern but prefers to fight with just his sword. Using poison, he explains, could lead to unfortunate accidents, something he'd rather avoid. With that, both men step into the center and Jiggle announces the duel. The tension grows thick as he asks if both combatants are ready. They nod in silent agreement, and the crowd watches in anticipation as Jiggle declares the match officially begins. The people gathered are eager, knowing that this is not just a duel, it's a fight for leadership, a demonstration of true martial prowess. Jiggle's voice rings out, introducing the duel between the great Shaolin master Jaon and the young lord of the Tang family, Yeon-myeong, also known as the Venomous Sword Dragon. The stakes are high, and everyone is eager to see who will claim the title of leader of the Righteous Heaven Alliance. Jaon, with a slight sneer, taunts Yeon-myeong about his mention of accidents. While he acknowledges the young lord's swift progress, Jaon's arrogance seeps through, hinting that Yeon-myeong's confidence is far too grand for his age. He then takes his stance, his feet planted firmly on the ground, and the earth seems to tremble beneath him. The onlookers gasp as they recognize Jaon's stance. It's the indestructible Vajra body, one of the highest forms of Shaolin martial arts. But this isn't just any Vajra body. No, it's the ultimate form, the one practiced by the very first Shaolin founder, a technique that has never been defeated. This is the true indestructible Vajra body, a martial art passed down through the ages, and its power is legendary. Jialan taunts Yeon-myeong further, mocking the notion that he would be defeated by poison. He says that even with the title of Venomous Sword Dragon, there is no way Yeon-myeong could penetrate the true indestructible Vajra body. He moves forward. His presence becomes overwhelming, as if the very earth beneath him is his to command. Yeon-myeong, however, stands perfectly still, as calm as a cucumber. There's no sign of fear or uncertainty in his eyes. Jialan tells him that this is nothing short of a declaration for him to surrender the leadership. In response, Yeon-myeong put his hand under his robe. He grins, reflecting to think he would be tested by this one so soon. Earlier, during a meeting with his subordinates, Yeon-myeong is asked if he plans to establish the headquarters of the Righteous Heaven Alliance on Mount Cheongshan. He nods, confirming that it seems like the most suitable place now that the Black Death Alliance has fallen and the land is vacant. One of his subordinates suggests they should purchase all the surrounding lands as well to secure the area completely. Yeon-myeong gives a thoughtful nod in response, agreeing that it's a good idea. Just as the discussion continues, the head blacksmith bursts into the room, holding a box with a gleaming smile on his face. He apologizes for interrupting the meeting, but his excitement is clear. He couldn't wait any longer to show Yeon-myeong what he had made. As he opens the box, the room falls silent. Inside, there's a dagger, its blade radiant with a cold, otherworldly luster. It almost seems to shimmer with its own light. Yeon-myeong, intrigued, asks if the blacksmith has given the weapon a name. The blacksmith, clearly proud of his work, explains that he was inspired by the dagger's white brilliance and the cold aura it emanates. He named it the White Snow Dragon Fang. In the present, Yeon-myeong stands calmly in the sparring arena, the dagger now in his hand, the blade glowing faintly in the light. Those watching are astonished. They whisper among themselves, unable to believe their eyes. Is he really going to face the mighty Jialan with nothing but this dagger? It seems like madness. Jialan, watching from the other side, sneers at the sight of the dagger. He scoffs, stating that using such a small weapon against him is no longer a sign of confidence, it's sheer stubbornness. With a mocking tone, he declares that he will teach Yeon-myeong a lesson through experience. Gathering all his power, he prepares to strike. The air around Jialan crackles with golden energy as he launches himself at Yeon-myeong. His fist techniques are legendary, and the golden aura radiating from his body is enough to make the air vibrate. The onlookers gasp, knowing that even those in the fire realm would have difficulty withstanding the force of Jeon's blows. But what happens next is nothing short of unbelievable. Yeon-myeong, standing perfectly still, reaches out with one hand and grabs Jeon's fist midair. The crowd falls into stunned silence. Jeon's strike, which was meant to overwhelm Yeon-myeong, is stopped cold by the young lord's grip. His golden aura flickers as Yeon-myeong holds onto his fist, not even flinching. Jeon, completely shocked, stands there frozen. His eyes widen in disbelief as he looks at Yeon-myeong. What just happened? How could someone so young, with only a dagger, stop him so easily? Yeon-myeong doesn't even break a sweat. He holds Jeon's fist with ease, as though it's nothing more than a casual inconvenience. The crowd watches, their jaws hanging open. They had expected a fierce battle, but what they're witnessing is beyond their comprehension. Yeon-myeong's strength is on a completely different level. Jialan is speechless, standing there with his fist held in place as if caught in the grip of something far more powerful than he could ever have imagined. Yeon-myeong reflects, if this is the famed inner energy of Shaolin, it does feel different from others, a bit more auspicious. However, to him, it is no more than a simple barrier that he can dismantle with ease. Jialan, still in shock, stares at his own hand in disbelief. He can feel the infused energy in his fists being torn apart. The powerful energy he had summoned just moments ago seems to be unraveling. His grip falters and his once confident stance weakens. Yeon-myeong recalls a few passages from the Tang family's martial records, which mention that to overcome the martial arts of a specific sect, one must first dismantle its foundational principles. Shaolin, with its emphasis on smooth energy flow, relies on this principle for its strength. Yeon-myeong knows that by disrupting the flow of energy, he can break through the techniques with ease. This insight is not only practical but essential to his understanding of the fight. Now it's Yeon-myeong's turn to strike. In a single fluid motion, he draws his dagger. With such speed and precision, he strikes Jialan 1,000 times in just a second. The onlookers can hardly process what they are seeing. Yeon-myeong's movements are so fast, they seem like a blur. His strikes are clearly controlled. They are not meant to kill, but to demonstrate his overwhelming skill and precision. The crowd is left speechless. The true indestructible Vajra body, an iconic martial art that had been thought to be impenetrable, is being effortlessly pushed back by nothing more than a dagger. Jaeun, who had previously been confident in his strength, is now on his knees in front of Yeon-myeong, utterly defeated. The murmurs from the crowd grow louder. One person remarks that to think the Shaolin's true indestructible Vajra body could be so easily overcome is beyond belief. Another murmurs that the rumors about the young lord of the Tang family defeating the Black Death Alliance leader weren't exaggerated after all. The news of his skill is spreading quickly, and the onlookers begin to realize the depth of his abilities. The man in the black robe, watching from the back, is still stunned. He can't quite believe his eyes. This young lord of the Tang family, how is he so powerful? He knows that Yeon-myeong's abilities go beyond anything he could have imagined. Meanwhile, Yeon-myeong sheaths his dagger and looks at Jaeun, who remains kneeling. He calmly tells him to stand up. His tone is respectful, as if acknowledging. And that was it from today's video. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, hit that like button, as today's like goal is 1,500 likes. Comment next part down below to see what happens next. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.